Good evening. It is Tuesday evening, March 31st, 2026. Hello, I'm Glenda Carlin, and welcome to our weekly Tuesday night Zoom meeting where we discuss A Course in Miracles or have tidbits of A Course in Miracles and Tibetan Buddhist teachings. And I never know exactly the format, although I send out an email that has a list of some items that I'm going to cover or that's gone on. So welcome. Here's God Ed, God Lynn, God Debbie, and God Glenda. Welcome. Thank you so much for coming out tonight. It means so much to me to have physical beings here besides the ones that listen to this when I post it on YouTube. Thank you. And I've already asked Holy Spirit, Jesus, Buddha, and the enlightened beings to be with us, but I'll sure do it again. Help y'all have the insights that's just right for you all. Guide me what to do or say. Thank you. You know, something comes up before I start the list of the items is the first time this week, I attend that daily Monday through Saturday meditation group with the Timo started out of LA. And the first time this week, when I'm doing healing, where I join my mind and crown chakra with another being, and it came to me to join these two chakras with the crown chakras of all the enlightened beings that are sitting in the Pure Land. And I'm going to get the picture that shows this. I'll be right back. Because what I'm discussing is it's for real. That we not just have a physical body, there's a mental body, an emotional body, and a light body. But what happens, these chakras, when they all open up, this shows a male and yin yang, male and female, their bodies are like tree trunks intertwined. And out of their back of their head, out of the top of the head is the crown chakra. Two enlightened beings joined makes this is a massive multi-layered crown chakra that's huge. Well, it dawned on me, I'll just join with the crown chakras of all those enlightened beings, and that includes Buddha and Jesus, besides all the Karmarpas, uh, uh, Diljo Khyentse Rinpoche, Nosho Khenpo, Neem Karoli Baba, all the main Longchenpa, Gompopa, all these enlightened beings. I'm told, I've heard there's millions of them, and they sit in spirit, some of them, in the Pure Land, and they're chanting all day, all night for the healing of our planet and universe. So anyway, when I did that, I pictured this joined force, but that it was just beyond size. And I took my vision within the center of the earth and just saw that this huge cloud of light was expanding out all directions to help heal the degradation of the planet, but all sentient beings in all the six realms. And see, y'all can do this too. This is a fact. The crown chakra is 1,000 petals, 50, I forget if it's 50, 20 layers, 50 petals each, but anyway. And after I did that, I think it was town hall last Sunday when I did this, instead of that Monday through Saturday event. Then it dawned on me there were 63 people at the town hall meditation on Sunday. And I just leaned back and allowed that join crown chakra, to go out to all the beings. And immediately I saw through the 63 beings that were there to the clear light essence they were. That's never happened before. Typically, I just do one at a time, thinking the silently calling out the name of a person and then calling out the name of a country. But although I'll do planet Earth all at once and the universe all at once. But anyway, that was different this week. Now, the main things I'm going to discuss tonight is number one, mastering fears. Number two, letting go of karma. And three, awareness is moment to moment. And the last one is divine order. And Dee Bauman likes to talk about divine order, and it's true. We're always in the right place, the right time, right teacher, right student, right everything. We don't always think that, but we are. So why that came up is I looked back through my email and experiences this week and wrote that email, but it was so many things went on. It was hard for me to get them kind of organized. I really was proud that I could actually get the email out because it was difficult to process my thoughts. But today I kind of I looked at the email or the Word document on my computer, and I made note by day of these experiences. And what I want to share, the main thing is there was an order to the experiences. And unbeknownst to me, I was just doing some things that came to mind to do. And then that caused something else to happen, that caused something else to happen, that caused something else to happen. But mainly, I want to share what's causing these new experiences mainly is I'm wearing this sleep mask. Now, this is a more expensive one, but the one you can buy on Amazon is $10, My Halos, MYHALOS. And today I learned from Deb Zimmerman, who attended the Dark Zoom retreat with Andrew Holacek. He's like the expert on lucid dreaming and dark retreats, one of them. And Timo attended that as well. But I was explaining today about a dream I had. And I'll go into that later. But the thing is, Deb explained that Andrew Holacek says like you start out maybe wearing it 30 minutes, like after you wake up in the morning while you're lying in bed or sitting in your chair, 30 minutes. Then change and maybe you do it 30-minute time frames a day. And you progress depending on how it feels, what experiences you're having, till you can do a half a day of wearing the mask and then just taking it off to walk around or get something to eat, something. And then ultimately a weekend, 2 days. But Andrew Holacek clarified you don't go start wearing it all day long right off the bat because your mind has to get adjusted to this darkness that this mask holds out all the glaring light of this dual world. And it results in you seeing this darkness, which is really the purity of God's presence. But you don't know that's what it is. And your eyes are open as you're looking into this darkness and you're kind of lean back. Well, anyway, I've been doing that. I think it's maybe almost 3 weeks. Due to that, wearing this mask and practicing, let me think, Tonglen, where I, on an in breath, take in the smog of either a being or planet Earth, and then hold it for a second. And then on the out breath, see sunlight going out to the whole planet or a being. That's Tonglen, taking on their suffering, but you're not literally taking it on. You're just inhaling like smog, and then you hold it, let it be dissolved. Well, first start out seeing your clear light essence. Start from that. Then you breathe in the smog, hold it a second, see it dissolve, and exhale the sunlight. Atonement in this mask has resulted in the culmination of some things I'm going to describe tonight. Okay, in this divine order. So on March 25th, last Wednesday, um, I was looking for something to watch on television, and looked at PBS documentaries. I forget if it was Prime or Netflix, but it has PBS documentaries. Well, one caught my fancy, was named "The Origin of Man," and I kind of talked about that at today's meditation at the end. But this was called "The Origin of Man." I'm waiting here. I'm admitting D. Here's D. Hi, Dee. Welcome, welcome. I'm talking about divine order, Dee, and told people you like to say that and that. It's true. Everything's perfect, just like it is. Doesn't mean there can't be a little tweaking done due to our habitual habit patterns. But we're all Buddhas by nature. We're all Christ by nature. But anyway, this divine order. It March 25th, last Wednesday, I was looking for something to watch on television, and I found a PBS documentary named Origin of Man. And in it, there's a female anthropologist who had gone through uh, significant events from now until the origin of man, and went and interviewed other anthropologists, etc. And what she found basically was in Homo sapiens started in Africa and walked or left Africa and went into Europe and interbred with, they're called Neanderthals, two entirely different physiques of human. The Neanderthal is, they show kind of a mock up of them based on their skulls. See, they can do all this. It's a denser body, more muscular, just a denser body, and Homo sapiens kind of thinner and etc. But anyway, what they found, well, the bottom line is with DNA testing today, they find that our chromosomes or the DNA within human beings, 2% of the DNA is Neanderthals. Okay, you with me? So this has continued on all these. This time I'm going to talk about is 50,000 years ago. They can document the time period 50,000 years ago, and it was during the Ice Age. I'm trying to be quick here. Is a man found a cave, and his group uncovered 2,500 bones, and they discovered with DNA testing it was of 13 people of the same family, and these people had been killed. And their bones were in this cave. And the bones, when they looked at them, they could tell they were killed because their bones were broken or crushed. Just, they could tell. And they could check the bones out, and there were cuts on the bones and the marrow. I don't know how they know that. The marrow was out of some bones. The thing is, the main man she was interviewing said this was showing cannibalism. Because, see, it's the Ice Age. And they showed pictures of there's nothing growing. It's the Ice Age. These people are having to survive. See, that's the egoic fight or flight. The egoic animalistic nature's got it wanting to survive. And that brings up another thing I was listening to was a podcast Lama Surya Das did. This one is called Mastering Fear, EP 58. It was Mastering Fear. And in that, he talks about that ego has like a territory. Ego has like a makeup. And what he's talking about is making peace with ego. And I've talked with y'all about things like that. Make peace with ego. Because if you were like me when I started studying A Course in Miracles, man, I labeled ego as bad. Ego was the body. I wanted nothing to do with the body and ego. And I still went to the doctor, but I did not have a good opinion of ego and the body. I had not made peace with ego. But now it's like, oh, I love you, ego. I love you because it's a part. It's part of this makeup of us. But what happens with these mind training that we're doing with A Course in Miracles and the Buddhist truths is we are uncovering this higher Christ, Buddha, God nature. And as we do that, guess what happens? The ego takes the back seat, and the master becomes the Christ, Buddha, God nature, the capital A awareness, the capital M mind, the capital S self, Christ, Buddha, nature self. Um, but yet, in an instant, when there's a life or death item occurring, ego steps right up and protects you and stops you from walking out in front of a car, or if you see a child gonna get harmed, immediately that's the fight or flight animalistic nature. It steps to the foreground and it takes care of everything, and then it steps back. That's when the polarity of small m mind, small s self, and big S self and big M mind are reconciled. That's the left and right hemispheres of the brain are communicating. Physical consciousness with spiritual consciousness, they are communicating. They have reconciled. They're no longer fighting in opposition. But anyway, so I watched that show that was on a Wednesday. I watched that PBS show that, and um, then also Wednesday, maybe during if it was during the day, that could have been Wednesday night. During the day, I have a crown that's needed to be replaced, so I'd gone to the dentist, and it's a upper tooth number 15. It's really at the very back, almost not a wisdom tooth. It's right back there near the back. So my mouth had to be really open, and they had to. It's an old crown that was made out of metal. I don't even know how old it is. They had to grind it with a grinder. And why I'm bringing this up is I didn't realize it till later. All that grinding going on and all this stuff going on, guess what? I kind of felt like it kind of shook. It kind of shook me down to the bone, like within my body. And sure enough, let's see, that was Wednesday. That was Wednesday. Then Thursday morning, the 26th, I put on the mask and I was being in the darkness and just leaned back, just being aware of my of thoughts and insights or thoughts show up, or just lean back, being with God's presence in moments. And it occurred to me that grinding from the dentist and then listening to that PBS documentary about killing, cannibalism, and battle, it dawned on me, oh wow, I believe in reincarnation, and you don't have to believe in reincarnation. You don't, but chromosomes and DNA follow the body, follow your ancestry. Now that's a continuity from the life of all your ancestors. It follows through if you get your DNA testing. Well, this in the spirit realm, that soul, that spirit, that's a Glenda, that's a Ed, that's a Debbie, a Lynn, a Julia, D. That continuity has been from the beginningless beginning, in my belief, not my belief, that's what's said, and I've checked it out. It feels right for me. But the thing is, it made me realize, because I've talked with y'all about it, about looking at this lifetime, even if you don't believe in reincarnation, just go start your this lifetime as soon as whatever you can remember or memory, your childhood, your family, your neighbors, your schooling, your schoolmates, your that's grade school, middle school, high school. If you went to college, then all your jobs, all your relationships. Because guess what? We aren't taught to think of everyone and everything as light. We're taught that you do sort good and bad. And underneath, there's this dualistic thing of evaluation and judging. So naturally, we have judged and evaluated everybody that's ever showed up in front of our face. It's unconscious. Other times it's very conscious where we go, oh, I just don't like that person. They just really are snooty today. I don't like that. So That's why I ask at the end of the day, look back on your day and recognize anyone you've judged and let that go. See the light in them, see the light in you. But more than that, see the light that's in every one of those people that you can remember through your lifetime, this lifetime. But I took it even further and I've talked to y'all about. I contemplated all kinds of different wars, from the Viking Wars, the Crusades, all the stuff that went on, the Revolutionary War, the Native American Wars, all the wars, because I feel like in my lifetime, I've fought in them. I've killed people. And I would ask them, please forgive me. If I had known better, I would have done better. If you had known better, you would have done better. I forgive you. Please forgive me. You are spirit, whole, pure, and innocent. All is forgiven and released. I am not kidding you. I sit with that down to the core of me, and I want to let go the karma. I want to let go the hurt that I have done in these lifetimes, unconsciously and consciously. So it dawned on me, heck, I had not gone back this far, 50,000 years. I had not gone back to the caves of the Neanderthals. So I did it. I sat with picturing that I was in a cave or that I needed to survive and my family. So then you got to provide food for them. So you're out killing whatever you can kill if there's animals or people or whatever. You're just trying to survive. And I've even heard that back in the olden days when there was some Cumberland Trail or some trail where people were got caught in a huge snowstorms and had the dead had to actually be eaten. People would die and they survived by eating these dead forms because they're frozen like in a refrigerator. Etc. The point is, this is the territory of ego wanting to survive and keep the family going, etc. Keep the gene pool going. And of course, that happens. We're glad it happens because look, we're here today, and you're sitting with these truths of A Course in Miracles and Tibetan Buddhism and Dzogchen, and letting go of your karma, letting go of these habitual habit patterns that are not serving you well. We're deconditioning our mind to have patience, love, peace, calmness, wishing others well, etc. Okay, so I did that on the Neanderthals, and when I did that, I was laying in bed. I felt a mass of energy that was sort of in my upper belly. This massive energy was moving up my central channel and moved. And I've talked to you about how my sense of self, my sense of that there's separate objects out there I've let go of, and the sense of that there's a universe out there. But now, what I'm talking about, was letting go of these lifetimes that are within that ice age and after the ice age ended, and then the origin of man, when man is evolving into all the different images that people that are within all these different countries, etc. Um, this mass left the top of my head, and it goes straight up back to the groundless ground, to this source, to Mother God. It's released. And what I'm discussing here sort of came up in this EP 58 podcast. Lama Surya Das, excuse me, um, um, was having an in-person retreat. I forget if it was 2018. People were asking questions. One man asked, in awakening, in essence, he's asking, do you need to regress through all these life experiences to let go? I'm not doing so well at explaining this, but that was the essence of it. And Lama Surya Das kind of paused and was explaining different concepts. But yes, he used the word regression, of this letting go of these memories of and events karma of this lifetime. And that's what I'm experiencing in this awakening. When I was asleep, my judgment thoughts, with a thought, there comes an emotion, and then another thought, then an emotion, another thought. To me now, I kind of feel like emotion's kind of a glue that makes these thoughts get glued together as like little globs that clog up the form, that clog up this corpus callosum, the bridge between the right and left hemisphere, clog up the central channel, clog up the chakras, and don't allow yin and yang forces to move in union. They're collapsed. So what I'm explaining here uh, is something valid for you to consider and investigate. For me, it's helped me a great deal because it releases these globs, these obscurations, these to unveil your Christ Buddha nature, God nature. Okay. All right. So then it went on to March 26th. Again, let's see what went on here. What went on here, another thing that remember the Tonglen I said I was practicing? That's breath work, is to relax and ride the breath, become comfortable with your breath, your in breath, your out breath, because picture that great ray that comes in, the great ray downward force causes the out breath, and then the upward surge causes an in breath. Let's see. Yeah. Mm. I get kind of confused on the in and out. One is the contraction down, and then on the up breath is the expansion out, liberating you back into the thoughts into clear light. Well, anyway, this great ray downward force generates the image, and I've now changed my words that I use. I've used the word creation about this, and in that podcast, I think it was 58, this Lama Surya Das uses the word generation and liberation. So picture the great ray comes in, that light comes in and compresses. It compresses the light energy, makes it really tight, and makes these our images. And then on the other upward swing, the image is liberated instantly. That's called self-arising, self-liberating. The image is generated, then the image is liberated in quick moments, moment to moment. This great ray down and up causes the breath in and out. On the 26th, the breath in and out became more and more harmonious with the movement of the great ray. Now, even if your great ray is not open, you still realize it's animating your form or you wouldn't be alive. Oh, Danelle's coming in. I didn't see that. Is so anyway, in Buddhism, it's called natural body, natural heart mind, natural breath and energy. And last week, I think I forget if it was it was Danelle afterwards. Hi, Danelle, that said she was just reading something that said Jesus taught the spirit rejoining with the breath. And see, that is what Dzogchen teaches. Natural body, natural heart, the heart and mind have got to rejoin, where we're not just thinking egoic thoughts. With the heart joined, then you're thinking with this divine love. You're thinking loving thoughts, you're feeling loving feelings. But what's changing is this hard left hemisphere thinking mind is getting rejoined some with this right hemisphere that's joined with the heart, this heart chakra, this divine love. So then you're thinking loving thoughts, you're wishing people well. This transformation is occurring where we're no longer hard, contracted, snippy, reactionary people. You kind of can learn to take a breath, breathe, smile, relax, kind of let go, be less serious, take a moment to decide whether you want to respond or not. You're not just one big reactionary knot, contracted knot, ready to just bust. When somebody says something or looks at you, you think a little wrong. You just relax, breathe, smile, relax. But anyway, breath and energy rejoins, but you can do that. You can recognize when you're breathing in and out, the great rays following that movement. Just see breath and energy. And if you feel vibration of light particles, that's that great ray light energy. Your chakras opening. It's a light body within your physical body, your mental body, and your emotional body. Okay, that was March 26th. I'm trying to hurry here. That March 27th, that's when that was a different podcast, EP 95 podcast titled Mahamudra and Dzogchen. That's where I learned the word generation and liberation versus creation. And in that podcast, I learned there's no absolute good or bad, only the wanted or the unwanted. That's what Buddha said. And that really struck home to me and really just like, wow, I've heard that before, but I never really contemplated it or considered it. But I'm going to say this again, no absolute good or bad, only the wanted and the unwanted. Just check that out. How often, if you want something, then guess what? After you want it, then you start evaluating and sorting and labeling and rationalizing to yourself why you want it and what things you need to do in order to get it. And then, so it does it's a whole litany of manipulated thoughts and things to get what you want. Now, it doesn't mean we can't work our jobs and do whatever we're doing, but you're doing them with this less of a deep clinging to it, or I'm desperate. That is not the approach. We're wanting to soften. We're wanting to soften and lean back off of whatever we're doing to be with it, to be with it. And by being with it, then you're open to hear your higher Christ, Buddha, God nature that's going to guide you with thoughts and feelings, your instinct, your gut, how to operate within that job you got or whatever you're doing with your family. And the other thing I said, what I already said, instead of I'm not using the word creation, I'm using generation. We generated the awareness, this God and Son of God awareness. I realize, but for me, wanted to experience each other, wanted to picture in non-dualism. There's no subject object. So I just sit with how could God then be aware of the emptiness? And I'm see, this is still not clear to me, so I'm just going to leave it like that, is that it just comes to me that God wanted to be able to feel the extension of love, so he created the Son of God. In this word, it's true, created. Course of Miracles talks about the united sonship is the one Son of God, the one Christ. But anyway, because he wanted to feel this extension of divine love. And it occurred to me that between the two of them, this big A, capital A awareness wanted to experience and see what they look like, what their nature was, wanted to experience this love from within a form, experience the great care that they had for each other, and to see the purity that they were. And so that resulted in this great ray extension and the creation of the universe. And then they put their awareness, God awareness, within the form to experience these six senses, what it smells like, tastes like, feels like, looks like. this clear light from all these six senses. It was just like a magic show, a playground to enjoy their what their purity was like until the Son of God fell in love with one of the forms and forgot he with God created, or in this case, generated the universe, generated the universe of form, because it generates and it liberates within a moment. So at any one given time, there's no continuity of form. Form is just in moments. That's another thing that I learned this week. I was trying in meditation to come to have a continuous beingness. And I've heard people say, oh, when you can be, you can just be for 2 or 3 minutes, you're awakened. Well, now I'm not real sure that's true. No, okay, folks. But see, I kind of bought into it. But the thing is, it's I'm experiencing, picture the great ray, it comes in, it downloads and it uploads in split seconds. When it's downloaded, it's generating, it's compressing the light into vibrating particles to make our forms. When my awareness is in this form, I'm aware I'm a form. In a form, I'm aware of my sight, my hearing, my mouth, my smell. I'm aware of these things. But picture in the next split second, when the great ray goes upward, it liberates, reabsorbs the form back into the clear light that from which it was made. And there is no form then, and that it's dissolved. Next second, there's the compression, the contraction of the form, and it appears solid. It appears, the image appears, then it's liberated. It's called self-arising, self-liberating. And it dawned on me, that's why I can only be aware of God's presence moment to moment, because that's how it is. And how it's taught, nowness awareness is being aware of the now moment. Well, you can't be aware of the now moment, like, it's now, 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 now. So you sit with that one too, because then that'll take this pressure off of you to sit in this continuous meditation. Although, now don't get me wrong, you can have samadhi where you dissolve, your awareness dissolves into this pure, clear light, and it can dissolve for more than one moment. But anyway, that was the other huge thing that came about this week is beingness. Oh, and that came about because I was inspired by a post Lama Surya Das did. See, these things sometimes just don't show up, but other times they're inspired by something. On 3/29, Lama Surya Das posted a quote from Chogyam Trungpa Rinpoche. And here's the quote that caused me to sit and contemplate all this. The sense of, moment to moment awareness. The sense of being is not one solid thing. It moves constantly. It projects out and in, and it's very fickle. Nevertheless, there should be some attempt to relate to the overall situation to a sense of the whole. It is like looking at a string of beads or an animal's tail. When a lot of little beads are strung together, you have a necklace. Hundreds of small hairs together become a tail. So there is a general sense of being made out of a lots of little things put together. So that's what I'm recognizing is, because in moments I'm aware of the clear light of God's presence. I'm inner being with it. But see what he said here? So there's a general sense of being. You get a general sense of being that you're interbeing with God's presence. You get this sense. but it's made up of lots of little things put together. That's the moments. I'll reread this. The sense of being is not one solid thing. See, I was trying to make it one solid thing. It's not that. And that's when that Lama Surya Das will say in this in some of these podcasts, he'll say, "Oh, he'll kind of talk about if he some of the meditators in his group. Oh, I'm going to hold this meditation. I'm going to hold this meditation. I'm going to hold it. I'm going to," and they become in a state. You know what I'm talking about. You end up with a manipulated state. You are not in the now. You are manipulating. I was in that. And it's okay because, see, you can relate now, right? You can relate now. And now you realize, oh, wow, moment to moment, because that's why this state of mindfulness is being mindful of what you're doing while you're doing it. That brings you into the now moment. And in the now moment, you're where you got the water faucet on, but you turn the water faucet off. The next moment, you're scrubbing the dish, or you're not doing the dish, or you're cooking something. Moments to moments. Okay. Okay. Now, here's the next thing. I know this is pretty far out, some of this stuff, but this is where I'm at. Is back to that EP 58 podcast that was called Mastering Fear. Remember, I said within that podcast, he was asked about, do you regress? Do you go back through these lifetimes and you let go? You let go of these events. It's true. That's what Lama Surya Das said. Yes, you're letting go of these events because they're obscuring your clear light nature. Um, okay, but he used the phrase a worm eating its tail. A worm eating its tail. Boy, that really hit me. Now, picture what's happening. When a worm eats its tail, picture its head is going to need to circle around and be right there looking at its tail, and it makes a circle. Well, that's a circle of purity, too. That circle is the left brain hemisphere and the right hemisphere are talking to each other. They are in union. But anyway, so the worm eating its tail. So when its head's at the end of its tail and go, it's eating its tail. So it eats a little of its tail, then goes and devours a little more of the tail. It keeps going. Guess what it's eating? It's eating its karma. It's eating these lifetime events that we've been judging and hanging on to. That's why I ask you, go back through your lifetime, look at all the people, call them up, and think of them as whole, pure, and innocent, always forgiven and released, and they are light of spirit. You may not believe it. You just keep practicing on them and all of them because you're letting them go. You're eating the tail. You're letting that karma go. Duh. And then if you feel really, you go, like I did and do, I look at all the wars and I'm looking at the wars, asking, please forgive me. If I'd known better, I would have done better. Please forgive me. I love you. If you'd known better, you would have done better. I forgive you. I love you. I love you. You are the light of spirit. You are pure, whole, and innocent, always forgiven and released. I'm the pure light of spirit, always forgiven and released. This is as often as you can remember to do this. You're the worm eating the tail. So guess what? I mean, the worm eating its tail. Guess what? After you eat the tail, you're going to the body, 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 body. You're going to get back to the head, right? What's the head? The head is the belief that you are a self, a body, a separate self. Well, meantime, while you've been letting go of all these judgment and obscurations, you'll have been contemplating that. Now, if I'm not a self, how can there be a self to judge those people? And if there's not a self, there aren't these separate objects, because that's what they say non-dualism is. There's not objects and there's not a separate self. You're slowly letting go of these habitual, unconscious thought patterns. You're a self. There's separate objects out there, and there's a separate universe. We never put the body in harm's way. But guess what? You're letting all that go. You get back to the head. you're at the root. You're at the root. And when you cut the root of the sense of a separate self, the sense of separate objects, sense of a separate universe, then then there'll be some final clearings that you want to let go of that are just going to pop, just poof, you're just in beingness moment to moment. Doesn't mean there won't be conflicts and arguments and stuff go on, but you will see through those and not be reactionary, and you'll have a response. Your Christ Buddha nature, it knows what to do. But that brought up something flashed right through there is, oh, in my case, guess what? So wearing this mask, that sleep mask, dark mask, an hour for meditation with a Zoom group, and then in the morning, and now I'm doing it maybe a little bit, uh, out, 10 minutes another time. You don't want to do too much at once. Just do a little bit, maybe 30 minutes, then build to maybe add another 30 minutes, etc. Because what's happening, you're getting comfortable with this pure blackness, this purity of the tight, pure, clear light showing up as blackness. That's God presence that's here now. And you're letting go. You're leaning back and you're letting go of this false sense of self, false sense that others are out there, false universe that's out there, etc. Now, so then I had a dream, folks. So Deb Z said today, and from the Zoom meeting, she'd gone to that darkness retreat with Andrew Holacek and had. And what happens once you get accustomed to this mask, you start having dreams. And these dreams are helping release you from your thoughts of separation from source. And sure enough, when this dream occurred, I thought, whoa, because see, I was watching podcasts that said mastering fear. And when I was listening to that podcast 58, Mastering Fear, it dawned on me, because Holy Spirit, he'll bring you thought. I have a fear of snakes. That came up and I went, oh, I know that means I got to sit with this. And I just kind of, that fleeting thought went by. So on the 26th, now let's see if I don't know if I can get all these dates right. 29. Let's see when the dream was. I can't remember when the dream was. Well, I won't hold us up. Is then one. Where's page 2? Page 2. Here's page 2. Here it is, March 29, Sunday. Oh, so Saturday, I listened to Mastering Fear podcast once. Then I woke up like at 5 a.m. on Sunday morning. I thought, I'll listen to that again. So I put the mask on and I listened to the podcast. And it's called Mastering Fear. And I went back to sleep when it was over. Do you know I woke up and I had a dream? And here's the dream. Oh man, the dream was, there's two parts to the dream. The first part, I was in a school bus and we were told that, I'm sorry that this is kind of scary. We were told a snake was loose on the bus and it was a copperhead. Because, see, this is my fear. Oh, I forgot to tell you. So, in that podcast, somebody asked that Lama Surya Das, at the point of death, what demons that when people come back from a near death experience or these holy enlightened beings they talk about at the point of death, the things that you're afraid of in this lifetime will show up in your vision, as you're passing. And if you've prepared yourself by mastering your fears during this lifetime, which means you've not repressed them, not denied them, you've allowed them to come to the light, you've sat with them, you've bead with them, you've treachered, you've cut through them, seen through them to their clear light nature, you've embraced them, you've integrated them with the clear light. You see that all these forms, all the fears, everything, these are compressed clear light into different uh, thicknesses of look like darkness, but that's just compressed light, compressed or lower vibration light. Sometimes it's compressed high frequency light. But anyway, then you can embrace these fears and you don't go get distracted and go off with them or run from them. And then wham, you're reincarnating back maybe to a different level, don't know, or back to a body, don't know, don't understand all that. But here's the thing. So I had been sitting with that snake fear because, see, when I was little in the country, there were some snakes, and one had showed up in our house one time. So, see, that's a fear. That fear is there from a little kid. So I'd been sitting with, and remember the vacuum cleaner thing from last week where I took my awareness, well, I took my attention and went inside the vacuum cleaner and saw there was clear light within this straight stick of the vacuum cleaner. Well, I did the same thing with when I'm sitting with my fear of snakes. I pictured the copperhead snake. And at a house where I used to live with my late husband, there were water moccasins that I would see once in a while. So I took my attention into the snake and I saw clear light. See, I'd already been practicing. So this dream showed up and I really feel like I was kind of lucid in the dream. When they said there was the snake loose, I sensed that snake was coming to me. And it did. It came up the seat and it was partially lying on my lap, but its head was up and it was looking at me. And I looked at it and I took my awareness and went inside the snake and saw its clear light essence. I am not kidding you. And that was that deal. It was done. And the next part of the dream showed up where I was in a bar restaurant with my father, my this lifetime's father, and a girlfriend. We were sitting at a table, and I got up to go get a beer for each of us and bring them back. Of course, dreams don't always make a lot of sense, but anyway, then and then I'm outside the restaurant and in a forest. I'm walking through a forest. The forest clears into a big opening, a big wide opening. And my father's back with me. And he has a little dementia, so he can't walk real good well. So I'm holding on to his arm to help him walk. And my girlfriend's there too. We're three together in this open big field. I look out and there's five or six men in this field in various parts. And I got the feeling this wasn't good. And I picked up a stick because they were coming near us. And I started waving a stick, but I soon realized, hold it, there's more of them than there is of us. So I put the stick down and I started talking to them because I got the feeling they wanted to rob us. And so I said, oh, we'll give you all our wallets. So they took our wallets. And then, I'm sorry, this part's bad too. It's not bad, but it seems to be in the jewel. Then I got the sense that we were all going to be raped. That's when I woke up. Because, see, I'd not practiced seeing the clear light and stuff like this. But underneath, what Holy Spirit was showing me, Glenda, look, Glenda, here's your fear of being robbed, your fear of being beat up, your fear of being raped. And then the snake was the first one, right? So I'm fully open to him showing me my other fears. So don't you know, I've been sitting with, then it came to me what I could do. So when I'm watching TV or the news, if there's a car accident or a robbery or a rape, guess what? I can take my awareness into that person, see the clear light of that person and the victim, right? But then I can also picture, hey, if I was that person, I'll take the clear light into that person, the abuser, and me, the spirit. Now, the one thing I do know is each of us will be guided what to do if we're presented with calamities and something life threatening. Because other times a person is to defend themselves. You will know, it will come to you what you're to do. If it's defending or if it's just relaxing, because in essence, rape is just rape. Is they're not brutalizing the form, etc. But to each will have his own reckoning to their own fears. And when things show up in this our physical life, you will be directed what to do. You don't always just aren't just doormats. We're not here to be physically abused or psychologically abused either. But if it becomes between being killed and getting beat up or just raped, hey, I'll take that anytime because I'm still going on the awakening. Okay. Oh man. So but Lama Surya Das, he said it. He said, embrace the fears in this lifetime. Oh, and so this person asking, what do Native Americans see? What do the different cultures see upon their passing? And then that Lama Surya Das, he quoted some official, and they'll see these they'll see these demons, but that it means they'll see the demons that they had their fears of in their lifetime. Native Americans may be the wolves or tigers or whatever they're being confronted with in their environment. So it's specific to each culture or our life. But the common thing is they're going to show up at the point of death as a distraction because we've not embraced them and sat with them and beed with them. Oh man. Okay, number 4. Let's see where we're at here. 4. I see how I can see this uh, opening to. What I want to show you is see how that was sequential, how it came to me. I didn't know to watch a program on PBS, The Origin of Man, that's going to talk about cannibalism and killing, and then to see a post. Lama Surya Das said, "Mastering Fear," and I thought, well, that resonated with me. I'll listen to that. And then the other day, I just turned on YouTube, and I thought I want to just see which podcast resonates with me. And I did Lama Surya Das, Be Here Now Network, blah, blah, and something. And you know that the podcast came up number 95, which was, and it was named, why I picked it, it was named Emptiness and Detachment. Because I've been wondering about in the last few days that the purity of God looks like emptiness. It's not obscured by any concepts or anything, but it's emptiness. And I was sitting wondering what God sees. What's he aware of? What's emptiness look like to him? And so that whole podcast was about emptiness and about cultivating, being in the moment now. And now I've got where I wrote what he said. I'm going to read this. Let's see, folks. This is really, it's about this because I didn't get it word process. I didn't get it word process. Even at the level of nowness awareness is the true Buddha within. See, that's this moment, this now moment. I wish I could. I'm on page 1. Oh, here it is. Here it is. This is EP 50 called Emptiness and Detachment. I told you the wrong number. EP 50. This is not right off the bat. This is during the after a few minutes of him talking. He says there's different, Lama Surya says there's different kinds of mindfulness, and he rattles them off. But he says Dharmakaya mindfulness, we call it in the Dzogchen tradition. They call it Dharmakaya mindfulness, the Buddha mind. So you can make that be called Christ mind, God mind, without which nothing can be known, nothing can be said. Without being aware of it, and yet it is indefinable because it is not apart from anything. It's the only thing. It's not a thing, yet it's the only thing, and it's all pervasive, yet nowhere. Now, that's what I'm talking about here is this God, big God awareness, this Buddha, capital M mind, Christ in mind awareness called mindfulness. Buddha, it's the only thing. It's not a thing, yet it's the only thing. It's all pervasive, yet nowhere. Because when you're in a coma, who's doing what around here? And you wake up and you say, "Oh, I saw you guys out there in the hallway talking about pulling the plug. Why didn't you?" Or you go, "Hey, I wanted you to," or "I'm glad you didn't." But who's doing what around here? Who's aware of what? Anyway, that was EP 50, emptiness, detachment. One final thing. I'm sorry. I called this up on my phone because it's a color picture that I put within the email. It's a picture. I want to hold it, get it kind of close. This is a picture of Niguma, Nuguma. This is an actual being that's enlightened. Look in this image. I hope y'all take deep, deep inside your awareness because this being awakened is sitting on a fully open lotus flower. That's your crown chakra, folks. She's sitting there, but look at this ring of fire, whole ring of fire going around there. What is that? Well, that is when awakened, the great ray comes in and goes up, a downward and upward thrust makes a circle, and it's a circle of fire that burns up. Remember, it burns up. First, there's the generation of form, and instantly there's the liberation or dissolving of form. That's the burning of karma. To me, that's the ring of fire. You've got that around you. If you choose to leave alone these thoughts, feelings, sensations that are floating back and forth within your mind, and by practicing meditation, sitting in meditation, you become aware of these thoughts and you become aware of when you've grabbed onto them or pushed them away and you let go. And you do enough of that awareness and letting and aware when you're clinging and aware when you're pushing and you let go, you get so you can just let these thoughts, feelings, and sensations come and go, and they get cleaned up automatically. But meantime, if you don't let it happen, guess what? Holy Spirit or your higher Christ Buddha nature will bring up a thought to you, or it'll rehash a conversation you had with someone maybe you didn't get along with, or give you a thought back of some thought you had about someone. And you wonder, why is that coming to mind? Why is that coming to mind? Well, it's coming to mind to be cleared, to be let go of, because it's so automatic to judge, to sort and label. But when the great ray is not operating to automatically liberate these items, that's when we do our own practice. When you're aware of your judgments, you let them go, see through them, practice Treched, seeing through them, being through them to the clear light of spirit they are, which is Jesus's advanced forgiveness, and that liberates them. And some of them are so deep, you got to practice more than once on them. And even when you're awakened, you still can have a judgment thought. that I do a combination of Tonglen and the Great Ray is liberating things. I do manual cleaning, which I just described to you, seeing through, being through these images and letting them be versus, and other times they're automatically cleared. To keep the mind body continuum open and clean from these thoughts, feelings, evaluations, sorting, labeling of all these six senses of objects of the six senses, the sights, the sounds, the tastes, the smells, you know what I mean, the thoughts, etc. I think I ended at a good point there. I'll stop. Anyone got a thought, question, comment they want to share? We're still recording before I close the recording. I sure appreciate each of you that came out tonight. There's God Julia. Let's go through the screen while you're thinking. Consider whether you want to make a comment or question. There's God Julia. There's God Lynn. There's God Danelle. God Ed. God D was here. God Debbie was here. God Glenda. All those that watch this later on YouTube. Your nature is this clear light nature. That's the glow. Clear light's the glow of this pure, pristine blackness that's so tight of pure light. It looks black, but it's luminous, our true nature. And that nature is forever generating images. It's forever generating images. That's what it does. It's producing a light show, a magic show, just for our enjoyment. But we forgot and fell asleep and thought all this stuff was actually permanently here when it's fleeting little images, holographic images, fleeting, coming, going, split seconds. They generate, they liberate. They regenerate, they liberate. Okay. Okay. I love you all. Okay, so I'm going to stop the recording. We can stay in chat if we choose, y'all choose to record.